There's something called the principle of transference, that if we do not depend on God to meet those 4 deepest needs that Ron talked about, acceptance, identity, security, and purpose, then we automatically transfer that dependency onto our spouse. And we're setting him up for failure because he's not equipped to meet those needs. He's not wired that way, and he's not supposed to meet those needs.
All right, good stuff from Dr. Grant Mullen there. And we're back in the kitchen here with Mike and Diane and Eric and Kara. Great to have you guys with us. And we're chatting about this whole idea of God's unconditional love and kind of the codependency that we tend to have with each other is why we married each other. We think we're looking for that one that's going to fill all our deep emotional needs. And so we get married. And there's always disappointment there.
You know, I think as women, I don't know if you girls are like this too, but we look, or I would look for him to meet just that one big, mega emotional need that I have, and then assume that he's going to meet all the other emotional needs too. So the first time I ever laid eyes on this guy, I was 17 years old. He walked into he was a football player, Mike. He was a football player. He was a football player. He walked into church the other side, and he walked in with his brother. His brother had a mustache, Ron didn't. My girlfriend next to me says, "Look at the one with the mustache," 2 17-year-old girls, you know. Right. And I said, "He's okay, but there's something about that other one I really like." Never met him before in my life, but I was drawn to his gentle spirit. I was drawn to his gentleness because I knew that in a husband and a forever mate, I needed someone gentle, someone with a real gentleness. And so that's what drew me to him. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, he's got that gentleness covered, so he's going to meet all my other needs too, surely. Right. You know, they're all going to, because he's got that covered. But that doesn't always happen because then I'm setting him up for failure because only God can meet all of our emotional needs.
That's it.
Our husband can't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think in part, when we look at our mates, we are looking at them to give us something, right? And I think it's the exact opposite way is where we should look at it, because we should be looking for someone that we can give to provide to, and to share with. It's hard to get fuel from an empty vessel. So we have to come as full vessels first, right? So that we can then give and share together. I love the verse in 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter that we all say at the weddings. The little caption says, "Love keeps no record of wrongs." Right, and just that little caption for me is that whole thing of, yes, it's not about what's happening over there, what's coming back at me. It's actually what I'm giving out, and if I give it out, I'm going to get it back. That's the way it works. That's what makes it unconditional, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think too, for women, we look to our mate for that fatherly. There's something about it that we expect to have that fatherly figure
Almost
as
like
well.
a stability.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kind of a stability we
it
need
is.
to bring.
It absolutely is. And for me, when Mike and I we started dating at 18, and he was my first boyfriend, and I lost my dad right after I met him. So it was that thing where, I need this guy to fill these voids, right? Because I don't have my dad, I don't have that, right? So I was missing that, and I was looking to him to fill that void, but you can't get that from him, right? Because there's a difference,
You
right?
never told me that.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, for Eric and I, we met and married while we were in Bible college, and so everything was familiar for us. Yeah. We had our friends and we had our school and all of that stuff. And then when we got married, I moved away from home, and Eric and I were living together. We were married. And I felt that I lost a security. I felt like Eric needed to make up for all the things that I just had to give away. And then I looked for him being like, well, why aren't you meeting these needs? I need them. I just gave up all of this for you. That's how I felt. And I realized in that first year year. It was a really tough walk to learn how God is my provider and my strength, and I get all that I need from Him. And yes, Eric is the best partner a girl could ask for. And
Hey. My goodness.
seriously, but I needed
We rehearsed
I needed to stop looking for him for all the answers and really start looking to Him for all the
Yeah,
answers.
I can relate to that because when we moved to Canada, same thing, right? He took me out of my element, like from my job, everything, my family, everything, and moved me to this place where I knew no one, right? And I expected him. I was angry with him for a long time because I felt like I was alone. I was by myself, and I was expecting for him to fill that void once again. And you're right, until I realized that, you know what, this is between me and God right now, right? I need to fill that void with reading my Bible and reading my scripture and doing those things, praying and having that time, not expecting my husband to come home from football practice every day to fill that void.
Yeah, well, we do marriage seminars across the country, and that's part of, you just named one of our sessions, and we talk a lot about the 4 deepest needs that we all have, all of mankind shares, that only God can meet.
And it's kind of putting the titles or the names to some of these emotional needs that Grant talked about in generally, but things like acceptance and identity and security and purpose. And because we look for those things in our spouse, which they can't meet. But if we have that already in God, then we have the foundation already solid. If we have that met
And
in God.
sometimes if we've done business with God, heart business with God years ago, and we think, okay, we're good, we've got this. But sometimes we need to be reminded that, okay, like Kara, you know, okay, yeah, God, I know you, we're good, we've got this thing going on here. But I need to be reminded that Eric is not supposed to be meeting those needs.
Right.
Because there's something called the principle of transference, that if we do not depend on God to meet those 4 deepest needs that Ron talked about, acceptance, identity, security, and purpose, then we automatically transfer that dependency onto our spouse. And we're setting him up for failure because he's not equipped to meet those needs. He's not wired that way, and he's not supposed to meet those needs. And so it's something that we have to remind ourselves that God is the only one who can.
Yeah, and I believe and have experienced that when you have God as your source of love, He'll give you enough love for the people around you. Like as a youth pastor, God gives me that love and care for the students, but He's also giving me that unconditional love and unconditional care for my wife as well. So it's a God-given love that I have for my wife.
The closer you get to God, the closer you get to each other.
Exactly. That's what we like to, we close the show with that every time. We love that. Yeah.
Okay, well, stay with us. We have more of Better Us coming up.
Right after this.
It's that 30 seconds that could change the course of your relationship over the next 24 hours, the next week, the next month, the next year.